Hi, this is attorney Jamie Miller from Miller and Miller, and I want to spend a few minutes and chat about what life is like credit-wise after bankruptcy. It's probably the primary question that I get after a client retains us or has questions about bankruptcy. They're asking that real big question is, what is my credit going to be like after I file for bankruptcy? And so for purposes of this video, I want to talk about 7 recommended steps that I have and tips that I have to building credit after bankruptcy. This is information that I give to all of our clients. And the first tip is to make sure after you file for bankruptcy that you check your credit report. So checking your credit report is really important after you file bankruptcy, because remember, when we file for bankruptcy, we are going to review your credit report with you and make sure all of the debts that are listed on your credit report are listed on your bankruptcy. So when we file your case and we get those debts discharged, your credit report doesn't always reflect that those debts are wiped out. So if I file bankruptcy for you and we look at your credit report in 6 months, the debt may have been discharged, but your credit report could say that you still owe money. Not that their creditor is going to collect from you, but it is so important that you familiarize yourself with your credit report and make sure that any debt that shows still owed on your credit report is cleaned up after bankruptcy. Because what we hate to have happen is you file bankruptcy, 6 months from now, you go to apply for a car loan, only to realize that an item is still negatively reporting on your credit report. And the great news is when you come to Miller and Miller, after your bankruptcy is discharged, we're going to review your credit report with you and make sure we create a list of action items that we need to do to help clean up your credit. Now, it's going to be important that you get your free credit report after you file your case. We're going to pull one for you also, but you can get a free credit report at annualcreditreport.com. And make sure you do that after your case is filed, and we'll talk more about that after your case is filed. But you also have to understand what the makeup is of your credit report, because when you look at your credit report and you see that there's errors, if you look at it and you understand it, then you're going to be able to work with us, and we're going to be able to work with you to target ways to improve your credit, improve your credit report and your credit score after bankruptcy is filed. And again, it really is the fundamental question of, I filed bankruptcy, I wiped out this debt. I need to make sure that the debt on my credit report properly reflects that it's either been discharged in the bankruptcy or has fallen off of your credit report. So that's monitoring your credit card, your credit score. The other way you can get your credit report, but I noticed that through different banks, if you have a credit card through Chase or you have an account through Chase or Wells Fargo or any other bank, they offer credit monitoring services, and just go online to your account and they can help show your credit score so you can keep up with that. Also, monitoring your credit score is going to help you look for red flags like identity thefts or fraudulent loans or debts put in your own name. The next thing that we want to look at is practicing responsible credit habits after bankruptcy. Make sure after you file your bankruptcy that you make your payments on time, that you reduce your credit card use, that you keep your credit balances low. I always recommend that you have an emergency savings fund after bankruptcy. So whether you put in $50 a month or $10 a week, having that fund on hand so that you don't have to rely on a credit card is really important. And then just be patient and do everything you can to maintain good, responsible credit habits. So when I say don't use credit cards, it's a balancing act, because after bankruptcy, we want to talk about getting a credit card, and that's getting a secured credit card. So getting a secured credit card is a great way to improve your credit. A secured credit card is exactly what it is. You can go to any bank and get that secured credit card. Go online, you can Google secured credit card, and you'll find tons of different offers. A secured credit card essentially is where you open a secured account, you put in $200, let's say, they'll give you charging privileges up to that amount. Oftentimes, as you charge on that secured credit card and pay it off, even though you may have a $200 as security, your credit limit will increase above that $200. And ultimately down the road, they'll even give you back that $200. So a secured credit card is a great way to start improving credit. Google secured credit cards, you'll find tons of options, and find the one that works best for you. You may want to start with the bank that you bank at as the first place to go to try to get a secured credit card. The next step is to consider a credit builder loan. Credit builder loan is just like a secured credit card, in that you may have a bank account, or you may have a brokerage account that you can contact your bank or contact your lender and say, listen, I want to take out a credit builder loan. They'll hold your account as a collateral. You take out the money and you pay it back, and try to keep as low a balance on that as possible. When I talk about incurring debt after bankruptcy, whether it's an unsecured credit card, a credit builder loan, or secured credit card, it's really important to keep your debt to income ratio low. So just because you get a secured credit card, maybe you have a $500 credit limit, you've put $500 up as collateral. I don't want you to charge it up to the $500. It's okay to keep maybe 10% or 20% on the account. So if you have a $500 credit limit, it's okay to keep $100 or $75 and pay that off. But I want to keep your debt to income ratio as low as possible after your bankruptcy and you're moving forward to improve your credit. Because your credit is evaluated by a couple things. It's evaluated by your payment history. It's evaluated by your debt to income ratio. Each one of those items impacts your credit score. And you want to be mindful after bankruptcy to make sure you pay off your bills as they come due each month and keep your debt to income ratio really low. Your debt to income ratio is the amount of debt that you have relative to your income. Your debt to income ratio makes up 30% of your FICO credit score. So doing all you can to keep your credit limits low after bankruptcy is really important. Now, the other thing is, if you are applying for credit and you're having a hard time getting credit on your own, you may want to utilize a cosigner. You can talk to a family member, or you can talk to a friend and see if they'll cosign on a loan for you. But what's critical when you do the cosigner loan, or you do the credit card loan, the credit builder loan, you need to make sure that even though you have a cosigner, that it's reporting under your social security number and to your credit report. It's so important. It doesn't make sense to take out a cosigner loan unless you're going to be the one that's getting the credit for taking out the loan and for the payment. So make sure you check on that. And the other one is to become an authorized user. So you may have a friend, a family member, a parent that has a credit card. Talk to them, ask to talk to the bank, and see if you can become an authorized user on the account. Now, again, it's really important that if you become an authorized user, that it's your credit that is considered, that by giving your name and your social security number as an authorized user on account, that any charges that you make on the account are being credited to your credit. So that's really important. Now, After you file for bankruptcy, I get the question a lot. How long does it take to rebuild your credit after bankruptcy? And it depends person to person. Generally, it's going to take you about 12 to 18 months after a Chapter 7 to get your credit score back to a 720. And a 720 is our goal when it comes to improving your credit after bankruptcy. And I say 12 to 18 months because that's the time period that it's going to take you to build up your credit score up to the 720 through the secured credit card, through a car payment that survives your bankruptcy or a mortgage payment. Now, some people think I file bankruptcy, the bankruptcy is going to stay on my credit report for 7 to 10 years. It absolutely will, but there's no reason why you can't get a 720 credit score within 18 to 24 months. Because keep in mind, your credit score reflects what is most recently done with your credit. So you may have had bad credit in the 500s 3 years before you file bankruptcy. But once you file for bankruptcy, you're truly given that fresh start, and you're going to be able to get that 720 credit score within 12 to 18 months after we file a bankruptcy. Now, that's with a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And I often get the question, how long does it take to rebuild your credit after a Chapter 13 bankruptcy? And you remember that when you do a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you're in a Chapter 13 for 3 to 5 years. And within a year after a bankruptcy, Chapter 13, as long as you're making all of your payments on time, you can definitely qualify to get a secured credit card or a credit card, a car loan, or a mortgage. I can't tell you the number of people and the number of clients that we currently have that are getting new car loans and that are getting new mortgages well in Chapter 13. You definitely can do it. There's a path towards getting that accomplished. It's something that we'll help you with. If you have questions, of course, you can see our phone number scrolling below at 414-316-3555. Now, why choose Miller & Miller to help you with your bankruptcy? Because at Miller & Miller, it's not only about filing a bankruptcy. It's more important, and what we really focus on is what we can do to help you get a 720 credit score after bankruptcy. And it starts immediately when you hire us with as little as $100 or even no money down. Within 24 hours of you hiring Miller & Miller, we're going to have a meeting with you. We're going to pull a free credit report. We're going to review the credit report with you, and we're going to identify exactly what needs to be cleaned up on your credit report. And we're going to store that away. And once we complete your bankruptcy and we know that those debts have been discharged, we're going to review your credit report again after the bankruptcy is over. And we're going to tell you all the steps that you need within our program called 7 Steps to 720 that's going to help you get your credit score to 720 after the bankruptcy is done. Now, I can't get you a 720 credit score alone. It's something that we can work with you on. If you follow our steps and if you follow our program, you will get a 720 credit score within 18 to 24 months after the bankruptcy is done. It is a partnership. We're going to show you the path and we're going to show you the way. And if you're interested in knowing how you can get a 720 credit score after a Chapter 7 bankruptcy or after a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, call us today at 414-316-3555, and we'll show you that path. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to helping you in the future.